We are participating in the Westover's Patriot Clipper, and part of Patriot Clipper, we flew out a team from the 452nd CRS to help support the upload downloads with the AES, the Aerovac squadrons, and help them with moving missions up to Plattsburgh and Cape Cod and back here. We flew in one C-17. They had a C-17 fly in from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. They had some 130s fly in from Maxwell Air Force Base. The Hurricane Hunters came out here to help out. And then we had a C-5 that here from Westover that was doing some static displays for us. Well, all the different agencies, that's the primary purpose of all the Patriot exercises, is to get the SEMA involved. A lot of times we'll get Border Patrol involved. Out here we had the Marines, the MAS 6, we had some Army troops out here. And the whole purpose is for humanitarian and or if we have to deploy, that we can go into an austere location, be able to get out here, set up communications so we can start launching and recovering all different types of aircraft to move the mission, whatever that may be, whether it's humanitarian or getting our warfighters out to the fight. It's a fantastic exercise, especially out here at Westover. This year, the first couple days we had to deal with the weather, a lot of rain. You got airplane ops out there doing the engine running onloads and offloads in the rain, so people are getting wet. Wasn't too cold. Weather's gotten a lot better, and once the weather gets better, things really start picking up and doing a good job out here.
Our role in this exercise was to transport critically wounded personnel through the airlift. The ASTS is an aeromedical staging squadron that primarily consists of ground personnel, doctors, nurses, medical technicians, and many other AFSCs to support wounded warriors in air evacuation. So we work with the Aeromedical Evacuation Squadron as a staging unit for wounded personnel and transition them to the aeromedical aircraft for safe transport. The critical care transport teams assigned to ASTS augment the aeromedical flight crews, providing in-flight critical care for those critically wounded personnel to be evacuated. During our flight, our simulation today, we had a patient that had respiratory distress, requiring our team to intervene, and that included providing a breathing tube for the patient and mechanical ventilation in order to keep that patient alive and safe during flight.
Senior Airman Lynch. I am a medical technician and I am with the 439th Aeromedical Staging Squadron. I just feel that being part of this exercise was great, and being able to actually experience what it is, how it is as a patient, going to the aircraft, being on the aircraft, being unloaded from the aircraft, how the patient actually feels and what they experience. As a medical technician, it's great to see the other side so that we know how to better care for them in the future. Most of our training is in-house training, so it's a lot of PowerPoint or a lot of hands-on skills lab training. Here I feel like it was more live training. You were able to have hands-on, actual mission-ready type of training where you're loading, offloading to the aircraft itself or the buses or into the medical tent. So I thought it was a great benefit to actually experience the true hands-on portion of this exercise.
We're out here at National Guard Base, Cape Cod, simulating forward operating base. We're out here running a multi-agency airflow exercise known as Untitled Clipper. Right now, currently, we're doing C-17 on the ground, doing an ERO. They're simulating patient recovery from a forward operating base. The Marines are on there too with their mobility exercise and practice. And the fire department is working with the air crew on egress training.
I'm a flight nurse, which is in charge of the whole patient on the aircraft. So I pretty much direct my crew to make sure the patient is safe. We typically, when there's different phases of flight, we typically want to make sure patient is stable so there's no change in status. So what we do is consistently, intermittently go back and forth to check on the patients. So just to make sure everyone is stable. We tend to have curveballs when you do simulated training, which is good for the crew, so we get a more intense sense of urgency. We know how to approach them quickly.
Senior Airman Brandon Mitchell. I'm part of the 439th AES Squadron here at Westover Air Reserve Base. I was today on the Patriot Clipper mission. I was the charge med tech, and I was in charge of all the techs, taking care of the equipment, making sure that things were loaded on safely and being properly taken care of for the mission that was at hand. The unexpected is going to happen eventually. Things that we're not expecting, but this is what we train for. We get prepared for this. It's more of a thinking process at that point, where if it happens, like for example, we had on our mission, we had a couple incidents where there was a psych patient and we had another patient that ended up having a mild seizure. It's not something we're expecting, but we're trained to think of it as soon as it happens and to go into the order of who takes what, who grabs what, and takes care of the patient. This is what we train for. This is my second exercise, and it's an enjoyable time. We actually have fun, and this is how we get to find out if we're being trained the right way.
And I'm with the 512 Contingency Response Squadron out of Dover. I'm right now in training, getting evaluated to be a Cree commander. We've been here at Plattsburgh for 3 days, and we started flying operations a day ago. So right now we're running the Cree element out of the trailer and hangar here at Plattsburgh, and we've been running about a continuous airflow of 5 to 6 jets per day. So we have 2 more days of operation, and it's been going pretty smoothly so far. So we're working with a few different units. We have the 302nd Army unit out of Westover. We have an Aeromedevac mission that's taking off right now on our right pad bird. And then we just downloaded about 12 troops from the Marine Mass 6 unit out of Westover as well. So we're working with all these different agencies. They're part of our affiliates with the Contingency Response flight out of Westover. And we're working with all of them to get training. There's several different entities that are getting trained right now. So we have Command and Control working out of the trailer here as part of the Cree Contingency Response Element Squadron. And then we also have the AE, the Aeromedical VAC communications team that is working to get their training done as well. And then the air crew is getting training. So the load masters and the ramp hosts who are actually marshaling the planes in and out, they're getting flight hours and some training flying from here to Cape Cod back to Westover. So those are our 3 locations for this exercise.
I'm Captain Giles. I'm with the 302nd Maneuver Enhancement Brigade here at Westover, and we are participating in this exercise, rehearsing and practicing our joint mobility with the Air Force, and it was the 302nd in conjunction with Task Force 76, which is also located here at Westover. We moved from here on Monday. We traveled by convoy, took our vehicles to Plattsburgh, New York, and then on Tuesday we conducted static operations and training on I-codes, training on load preparation and loading of the aircraft. And then yesterday was an active flying day, moving around between Plattsburgh, Westover, and Cape Cod. It was a great training opportunity for the soldiers because we had the majority of our soldiers on the mission had gone through the I-codes course, but had never had any real practical experience outside the course. So for them to work with the Air Force personnel in preparing those load plans, and then our hazardous materials people being able to work with their Air Force counterparts and doing the hazardous materials declarations, that was a great experience for them. It was a great experience. I think all my soldiers had a great time, and any time they can actually get out in the field and hands-on do things, especially when they get to do something like this and fly around on aircraft. It's a great day.
Today we're giving a quick brief to FEMA, providing them a familiarization of the aircraft. We actually do all of our training. We have 1 unit out of Westfield, Mass. We do a lot of our training at Westover through the Guard. And our unit is actually out of Otis or Joint Base Cape Cod, and we're out here today. Every once in a while we'll come down here and get a lot of our training in. There's actually another training area just north of the area. Yeah, we're actually on our annual training period right now, so we've been here since Friday, and we're going to be here for another 2 days. Being a part of all these things, it's just a real opportunity to see the men and women who really care about the country and do what they can to provide the citizens with all the help they need.
My name is Julian Bayuk. I'm a rescue specialist in Squad A. I'm a firefighter for the city of East Providence in Rhode Island. I think it's great. I think what happens, for us is that as firefighters, I always push with the jacks of all trades. So we got to know so many different things when it comes to whether we're doing fire, EMS, hazmat, and then you get into technical rescue, which is a lot of what we're doing with the USAW team. So anything we can do that, when it becomes what we call a low frequency, high risk event, anything we can do to pre-plan, be more familiar with these aircraft, with how they're loaded, with how we might get on and off, a helicopter like this. I think it's invaluable. It saves time, makes us safer, makes the operations more seamless. So I think the training's invaluable.
We load and unload planes. Use a lot of different equipment, a lot of heavy equipment as well, and a lot of moving parts. Everybody has a different mentality, and they have a different way of doing things. They move differently, so it's fun and it's interesting because you learn different ways of communicating, different ways of getting the job done.
We rode on a C-130 and we loaded up one Humvee on the C-130 and we went out to Martha's Vineyard and we turned around. Definitely a good exercise, good training. I've never been on a C-130 before, so it was definitely something that everyone should experience. A little bit of a rough ride compared, I think we C-17s were yesterday, much smoother ride, but it was definitely a good experience. First exercise out here, yes. We've been out here to dog patch before, do some field training, but never anything of this caliber. This has been great.
I'm Staff Sergeant Aaron Gatch. I'm with the 337th Airlift Squadron. I'm a load master in today's operation, loading in a water tanker truck for FEMA. I'm actually a student right now. I'm looking to get mission qualified come September, but right now, so this is great training for me. Learning a ton of stuff right now. It's kind of a little intimidating, big crowd, but it's some great training and I'm just happy to be a part of it. We were out Tuesday and Wednesday. We were doing a similar thing. We were loading tractor trailers. We loaded some juice and a half and instructing Marines on tie-down devices and things of that nature. And it's been great. It's been great to be a part of it.
My role here is to be a special handling joint inspector. We are working with FEMA and we are working on getting an Atlas certification for this water truck here. We're basically working with FEMA, driving this big truck onto the C5, taking measurements, taking pictures, so we can make a military regulation on how this truck will fit on the C5 here. My specific duty is to be a joint inspector. We're working with the Army, the Marines, some Air Force squadrons out from March Air Force Base in California, and I'm going from dog patch to the flight line here, doing different joint inspections on different vehicles, batteries, this truck, antennas. It's been a pretty busy week. So this is my first exercise doing Patriot Clipper. It's been long days. The weather's been between 75 and pouring rain, but it's an experience working with different agencies, different units across California, and different branches of service. So it's a good experience for all of us here.